Hello and welcome to Trojans Live on ESPN LA 710. Tune in and live right here on Twitter at USC_athletics. We thank our audience for joining us on this Monday night. It is rivalry week, so we will sit down with the head coach Clay Helton and senior Chris Brown, the offensive lineman, to discuss the crosstown showdown at the Rose Bowl on Saturday. Plus, USC women's soccer is a national championship contender as the NCAA tournament continues this week. So we will hear from their leader, Captain Allie Prysock. I am Jordan Moore alongside John Jackson as always. And JJ, weird game on Saturday, a great first half, but a second half to forget.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. The Trojans jumped out to a great lead. I thought they had everything in complete control, and then just a couple plays turned things around. That's what momentum does, and that's what it is about in college football. It just happens that way.
All right, we'll find out from the coach what he thinks. We're counting down to kickoff with Mito. Swiss watches since 1918, the official timekeeper of USC Athletics. Be the first to own the Fight On limited edition timepiece. True Trojan fans, visit shopmito.com/USC. That's shopmito, MIDO.com/USC. The head coach, Clay Helton, sits down with us now. And, Coach, just talking about it, obviously a tale of two halves on Saturday. What did you think was the biggest difference between the first half and the second half?
I really thought the third down situations. I thought our first down efficiency in the first half led us to 3rd and 1 to 5 situations, and we were making them and keeping drives alive, and we're able to get in the red zone, basically 3 times, and new points would be valuable. Looking at that Washington game, a 12-10 game, a Washington State game, 19-13, you knew it was going to be one of those games where every point was going to matter. And looked up, and it's 14-0, and we got that last drive right before half, and we fall just short there to make it a three-score game. We get into the second half, and what we had been doing on first and second down wasn't happening for us. We had some miscues, whether it was a penalty that set us back, all of a sudden maybe a snap that set us back, a missed assignment, a drop ball, and now all of a sudden you look up and there's 5 3rd and 7 pluses in a row, and that's hard versus that Cal defense. They do a really good job on third down, mixing up coverages and pressures, and it caught up with us. The first half, when you've got that nice first and second down efficiency going, it makes it easy as a play caller and as an offense when you're in those third and shorts.
I watched Cal on film before the game, and saw what you did in terms of the difficulty in trying to diagnose what they were doing. But you seemed like you had it down in the first half, especially on the early downs. Is there something that they did differently from first half to second half?
No, it was the same calls. They changed up one pressure towards the end of the game that we ended up changing our protection to be able to go to 6-man protection for their 6-man pressure, and ended up having 2 missed assignments in protection that led to 2 sacks on third down. But no, I felt like it was more us. It was a couple drop balls. It was a miscue on a snap. It was a penalty that set us back on a legal motion. Just felt like that rhythm that we had in the first half had left us, and tried to get it back. Got a couple times to midfield and just couldn't get over the hump to get that one more score that we needed in that game.
How about your quarterback, JT Daniels, his first half compared to his second half? I was talking at halftime. I thought the first half was as good as I had seen him. Against that defense to go 15 of 20, best secondary, at least statistically, in the league, and 2 touchdowns, nothing close to interception. Boy, the throw to Tyler Vaughn's, one of the 2 touchdowns was a thing of beauty. And then just the second half, was it no rhythm, no confidence? Was it just the whole offensive team effort? What did you see from JT?
And to be honest with you, made some good decisions. Especially, he has a couple balls. He has 3 drops right there in 3 drives in a row, and that hurts you as a quarterback. And when you get in some 3rd and long situations with that defense that will drop 8 and then bring cover 0 and then mix it up on you, it makes it a little bit tougher when it's 3rd and long. And as a unit, we did such a great job in that first. You look up, you got about 250 yards offense. You're going to be up 3 scores. Then we have a turnover right before halftime. Come right back out and end up getting a safety on the snap, and that momentum you talk about just changed. And all of a sudden, we had a couple miscues, and you look up, and now it's a ball game. Right. And but I thought for him, you can see what I think JT's going to be.
Yeah.
I really, that first half, I was like, mercy, this can be a really, really special kid as he grows and develops. And made a couple throws that, especially the one to Tyler, that pulling that trigger like he did and dropping that in like he did. That was a special throw.
I watch you guys so often in practice. The quarterbacks try to throw the ball in the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was like the bucket drill in real life. I mean, if you put the bucket out there, he put it right in the bucket.
Yeah, definitely. It was an RPO where he diagnosed man-to-man coverage outside, and to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take it and get it to where the safety can't get there, and it's press coverage, and to be able to trust Tyler, who most of those fades throws you outside release on the corner, but they were playing outside eye leverage, and Tyler slips inside, and he saw the release and still got it there on a dime, and it was a great throw, and the kid is really progressing. He's getting better with each game, and there were some flashes there. You go, wow, this kid's going to be a big-time quarterback.
One thing that you preach in practice as a coaching staff to these kids is about composure, and you emphasize it in practice. It's not a no-fight rule, but it's sort of a no tolerance on the fighting, and those things are kept down. And in a lot of teams that I played on, if you didn't know how to fight, you couldn't play football. But with that being said, I know it has to frustrate you as a coaching staff because usually what you do on the practice field carries over to the game. And in that case, it just seemed like the team got certain players got out of character in that. I thought about it after the game and keep remembering that there's some deep rivalries with some of these kids, as you know. Between the modern day and the Bosco kids playing against each other, and guys that have played against each other in the past. How much do you think that spilled over, and what do you do to correct it?
Well, we had 5 total penalties in the game, and two were decision-making penalties, and we addressed it in our team meeting today. That and the guys owned it, which was awesome. I mean, they truly owned it. And what you try to teach a young man is, emotion and competitiveness is part of the game. But as emotion goes up, sometimes intelligence goes down, and that split-second decision that could cost you and cost your team, you've got to be able to wane from. And like I told them, I said, guys, understand this. If that happens again, you're going to come over and sit beside me for a little bit. We're going to have about 8 plays together and talk through it. But understand that those type of situations can cost you games and cost you opportunities at championships. And not one play lost the game. Right. Not one of those penalties lost the game, but the collection of about 6 to 7 miscues can have you look up and you lose a 1-point game.
Right.
Yeah, defensively, not a ton to talk about. Obviously, it was a good night in that you held Cal to barely 200 yards. It was the season's best for the defense in terms of yards allowed. The only thing I'll ask is, was it frustrating? It felt like, and we kept talking about this, it never felt like they were going to be able to go 80 yards on you or 75 yards on you. And so in the end, is it frustrating that they only had to go 50 yards and I think it was 45 yards in the two drives to beat you?
Yeah, we felt really confident in our defense that looking at Cal, and we knew they had one of the better defenses in the country. And we saw that offensively we thought we can hold them to a lower score if we made them go the long way. And the fact of the matter is we look up, we have an interception that gives it to them in the red zone. We give them 2 short fields, and that ended up costing us 2 touchdowns and ultimately the 1-point victory.
Yeah, when I looked at the defense, I thought the same thing. I think they played well. You got great play from your secondary with limited numbers back there because there were only so many guys, that were healthy. How would you assess that? Not necessarily their overall play, but just the way that they gave you a chance to win as a defense.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what you want, is to be able to feed off each other. We're at Oregon State, and you look up, and it was the offense's turn to score points and playing a good quarterback and Jake London, and then this time around we knew going in that we'd watched the Washington game, the Washington State game, which was 2 good offenses, and goes, guys, this is one of the better defenses we're going to play all year, and really felt that if you got 21 or above, that you were going to not only be right in the thick of it, but probably winning the game. The frustrating part was not getting to that 21 and not getting that 21 plus, and not doing it, especially when you're sitting there 14-0 at halftime and needing 1 to 2 more scores to just put the game away. Not doing that. I thought defensively they did everything possible to be able to keep us in that game and give us the opportunity to win.
All right, so I know in tough times like this is obviously a tough time, but whenever you look for advice, in your case, you look to the old man for some advice. How many text conversations, tweets or whatever have you had with your father over this last weekend?
I get text and phone calls daily, and the one thing he reminds me, and always, ever since I've had this job, there's no bad days. If you love this job and you're the head coach and you're in a leadership position, you don't get to have bad days. Don't take the job.
Right. Right.
So because kids are going to react how you react, and the fact of the matter is we have 2 games left in this season, 2 huge games for our seniors and for our future as far as a football team moving forward with a bunch of young kids next season. And, they have to understand exactly how important a UCLA rivalry is and a Notre Dame rivalry is, and having that victory bell and having that shillelagh and what it means, to this university, and especially to a bunch of seniors like a Cam Smith, a Marvell Tell, a Biggie Marshall, a Porter Gustin. Those guys are trying to come away saying, you know what, in our 4 years, we had the victory bell for 4 years. I mean, that's a big deal. And so we're going to fight like heck all week and prep like heck, like it's a Super Bowl, because it is to us. Right. And that's the way you approach it. And that's the way we approached it today.
All right, the first of those 2 big rivalry games is Saturday, 12:30 kick on Fox, and right here on ESPN LA 710, USC UCLA. We'll talk about it next on Trojans Live. Trojan fans, here's a deal for you. Right now, when you buy 4 select Cooper tires from a participating dealer, you'll score a voucher good for 4 free tickets to a select Trojan football game during Cooper's annual Buy 4 and Score event. Visit CooperTire.com to find a dealer near you. Jordan Moore, John Jackson, the head coach, Clay Helton here, and we're talking about USC UCLA, and it has not been a great season across town for the Bruins, just 2 wins, but it does seem like they're getting better. Where have you seen their improvement as the year's gone on?
Yeah, you see a team that has improved each and every game and has lost some close battles. Even last week versus Arizona State. I mean, they're right there against a good team in our league. And the one thing I'll say about Coach Kelly, I think with all his teams improved from game 1 to the end of the season. And I think it takes time when you put in a new system, both offensively and defensively, to match personnel, to develop personnel, get them comfortable within the system. And you can see them growing. I think defensively they've improved drastically from game 1 to where they are now. And, they're kind of figuring out the quarterback spot. They've bounced back and forth from the rookie to, to Spate. And both have had flashes of really good, really good play. Dorian had a terrific game versus Cal, and then I thought Wilton played exceptional versus Arizona State last week. So it's another game where you have to prepare for 2 really different styles of quarterback play to see who's going to come in and who's going to lead them. So, Coach is doing a good job, and he's, I think his better days are ahead, but his team has improved.
Before I get to UCLA, I have to go back to to the game last week. You had Vi Malapai, who gets the start, for at tailback, but Cedric Ware, 200-yard game against Oregon State, follows it up with a 100-yard game against Cal as well. He's coming on as of late. What is it? What are you liking from his? Obviously the production, but what else are you liking about Ced?
What an unbelievable story! It reminds me of the Buck Allens and the Justin Davises. Just a blue-collar runner. That's every down player that will wind up. You'll look up and he'll be playing on Sunday, just like those other 2. Physicality between the tackles, and what I've really enjoyed from him this year, and I'm so glad it happened for him, is you could always see him be an explosive runner, and once he gets to the open field and really he's had some really explosive run game in the last couple games. Had a big one 2 big ones at Arizona. 2 big ones at Oregon State, has a big one last week, but he's made himself not only an in-between the tackles physical style runner, but he's also kind of made himself into a home run hitter too, which is nice to see.
Well, one name on the UCLA personnel I wanted to discuss was Caleb Wilson, and a guy that we know really well. He was always hanging around before he was even in college, because his father worked here for a little bit. He ends up transferring across town. Not many people do that. It's worked out for him.
Yeah.
164 yards receiving last week. He's turned into one of the better receiving tight ends in the nation.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. So happy for Caleb and his family. He's been a great kid. Was great while he was here, and it's just so awesome to see him succeeding. Just exceptional young man, and has transformed into a high school quarterback and a really good tight end.
You know, how do you handle this week with the team as from an overall standpoint and a big rivalry game, another big game? You could plan on it being chippy again, you know, similar to the Cal game. You know, how do you get your guys ready for this kind of atmosphere? Because this is it's a different animal for kids that haven't been in it.
Yeah, we talked extensively about it today. That if you think Cal's emotional, wait till you walk into a UCLA or Notre Dame game, and you know everybody across the field, and and just talking about never want to take away your competitive fire, and and at any level there's always talking back and forth, but just the decision making of not taking above board and getting the penalty is important, especially when you're talking about a rivalry game, because it doesn't matter about records. I mean, you're going to get the two best efforts you've ever seen from two teams, because they know how important this game is for the university, the fan base, the city, recruiting. So it's one of those games that's truly special, and I love it because it's really the only true game where you're in the same city. Most rivalries that I know are in two different towns, maybe two different states, but this we all live together, and that's what makes it unique, and that's what makes it even more passionate and more emotional.
Makes it a big difference where you can hang out too.
Oh my goodness, it's like adding fuel to the fire.
Well, you mentioned this will be the first rivalry game for some of the young players, and it seems like more of the young players are starting to get sprinkled in. Are you taking advantage a little bit of the new rule where you can give a guy a taste 4 games at most and still keep his red shirt? We were talking about Abdul Malik McLean as one example of that, and maybe Elijah Winston as another, who we saw on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. Across the board. I mean, I think about it's the best rule we've had in probably the last 2 decades in college football, because one, it's promoting health. Especially with some injuries, to be able to pull some guys up, and even if it's special teams, even if it's offense, defense, whether it's maybe a dozen reps of offense, defense, that kid is walking in there and gaining a college experience, maybe saving the health of an older player that's dinged up and taking some reps off of him, and you look up and you get to garner another year for him. So a Malik McLean, and Elijah Winston, and Isaac Taylor Stewart has been there, Marquise Stepp has been in there, and not only that, you look at some guys that maybe are in their second or third year that you're able to take advantage of. Connor Murphy is a young man that garnered 4 games and now is going to be redshirted. Caleb Tremblay, got 3 games and can be redshirted. So Giuliano Falanico is another one. So you get to gain that year back and get them a year older, year bigger, year wiser, more experience. And it has been the absolute best rule for college football, and I'm so glad they put it in. I hope it continues. I hope we never change it.
Well, to go along with that, is there somebody calculating week by week on who's going to be in there? Because if you make a mistake, a guy goes in there when he shouldn't go in there, it could cost him a year.
So every Monday I have a chart that comes. It's got every player, and it has his number of games and his number of reps, both offensively, defensively, and special teams, not only in each game but total. And so I can see the amount of experience a kid has had. Plus, I can see the red flag. Once they hit that 3rd game, I'm like, all right, boys, you better be selective on that 4th one, because once that happens, we'll set that player down, and he won't even dress. Like Connor's not even dressing right now. So you don't even
make the mistake.
You don't even let him mess it up.
Well, one guy with no more seasons of eligibility left is Chris Brown. We're going to talk to him next. He's got to enjoy his last couple games as a Trojan. Trojan fans get 1 free admission to the Ralph's Ultimate Tailgate Experience at select USC football home games this fall. Only one left, Notre Dame game, when you purchase $35 of participating items at Ralph's. Look for the